Season 5 is finally here. New heroes, new skins, new balance changes, and I'm gonna whisper you through every single update. Nice and slow. Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 5 of Marvel Rivals. Super excited to hop right into it. So first we are, of course, going to check out the Battle Pass, the Grand Garden Adventure Battle Pass. Super excited to see everything from all the skins, all the emotes and whatnot that are coming into this season. So first up, we have Monster King Namor skin, which does look very, very cool. As you guys can see from this intro here, he looks pretty sick. Very deadly. It just looks awesome. I love the octopus tentacles in the air. You guys can see the anchor for his trident. And once again, it just does look very cool. That is a very nice skin for Namor. Of course, we have his emote, Set Sail, which is nothing too crazy, but again, it is just a nice little emote there. Of course, you get some sprays. You get his MVP, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the... Oh, actually, no, it's not the same as the intro. But you guys can see it there. It does look very, very sick. Very, very cool. Next, we get this Big Buddy Groot skin. Very clean, very nice. Kind of like traditional Guardians of the Galaxy Groot, with the costume and whatnot. Doesn't really come with anything special. He does have this mini Milano emote, which very similar to Namor's one. Very cool. And I mean, with the buffs to Groot, we definitely will be seeing a lot more people use Groot now. We also get this nice Groot spray, and then of course get stuff like the nameplate, units and whatnot. On page 3 we get the Franken Castle skin, which is pretty sick. Definitely Halloween inspired. However, Halloween is now behind us. However, still a very cool skin, and I do like playing Punisher, so definitely see myself using this skin. Get the nice little Franken Castle spray. This Vault Verdict emote, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it looks awesome. And one thing that they've done with emotes a lot more recently is that they're kind of infinitely loop. It's not just like a one-time thing. They just start looping, which is pretty sick. And then of course we get the Reanimated Fury MVP, which does look pretty cool. So again, this one's not even that bad of a page. Of course, it is a luxury item as well. Now we have the blue thing. If you guys did see the Battle Pass reveal trailer, this guy was definitely front and center. A lot of people have a lot of mixed opinions. Having a blue thing is pretty interesting. They do this with a lot of heroes where they just kind of throw in a different colored skin, like with Penny Parker back in season 1. Instead of red, they made her blue. And again, they do that with a bunch of other heroes as well. But also, we do get the blue thing spray. Of course, a profile picture, nameplate, and then the shaving emote, which does look pretty funky. Yeah, it is pretty cool. The fact he has to use well, I don't know what the tool's called, but he has to use like a blade, right? That is pretty sick. Next is the Midnight Suspense Black Widow skin, which a lot of people, you definitely see a lot more people use this skin because, well, I'm pretty sure Black Widow, she has a really cool team up with Phoenix now, but also people just love this skin. They're kind of fawning over it. But this is also a callback. First appears in Avengers 1963, so a callback to a OG skin. You do get this Midnight Surprise spray, which is in reference to the Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, I do believe. Or at least it's very, very similar. You do get the Poised to Strike emote, which is pretty cool, nice and sweet. And then the Phantom of the Operatives MVP. This is what we saw in the Battle Pass trailer. Yeah, a lot of people, you can just tell, are going to be using this skin when they do get around to unlocking it. Of course, you get the Grand Games Gallery card, which adds to the lore of the game, which is actually how people found out we were getting Rogue and Gambit in Season 5. They were kind of just dissecting the lore and found that everything kind of added up lore-wise, plus the collector as well. Page 7 is the Merciful Queen Hela skin, which looks very clean. The white and the gold is very nice. I did not realize it was within What If Season 2. But again, just a very nice and clean skin. You get this pretty cool spray as well. And the Peace Bringer emote. Nice and simple. It transforms, I believe, a blade into a trident. Yeah, it transforms this weapon here into a trident, which is pretty sick. So, not a bad page overall. Very nice and clean for Hela. Next is the Odin's Beautiful Daughter Angela skin, which a lot of people do like this skin. Again, Angela is another tank getting a buff, so you'll see a lot of people use this skin. This also ties in lore-wise, if you guys are interested with last season. It was a skin they didn't release, but of course here it is now, and yeah, you definitely see a lot of people using this, again, because it looks cool, and also because Angela got a buff. You do have a crouching target emote, which isn't too bad. Pretty cool there. And then the Radiant Tiger Strike MVP, well, which is kind of nuts, right? Super speed and everything. That is pretty cool. So again, definitely gonna see a lot of people rocking this skin, playing more Angela. And I believe she had a pretty decent pick rate as well in comp. But yeah, that's page 8. Page 9 is Infinity Ultron, which looks very awesome. Again, What If Season 1 this time, unlike Hela. Very cool skin. Ultron did not get touched in this update, which kind of does suck. Even though he got a really cool skin, he has a nice little cape as well. I love the Infinity Stones on the front. You get the Control Confirmed emote. Very similar to some of his other emotes already. The fact that it has like a digital thing coming out of his hand, but it's a pretty nice emote regardless. You get the Infinity Ultron spray, which is kind of just a nice cute little emote. And then the Eternal Peace Protocol, which looks pretty gnarly. Yeah, that looks insane. I'm sure that does tie into the episode of What If, but I myself have not seen that episode, so I do not know. Page 10, you get the Magus Adam Warlock skin, and I remember when this was previewed in the season pass, I had no idea who it was. Would not have thought it was Adam Warlock. You get a nice little collectible, the Grenovium Die of the Grandmaster, just some more lore stuff. The Magus spray, Brilliant Beckoned emote, which is not too bad. And then of course the Dark Arcanium MVP, which they showed this in the trailer as well, and yeah, that looks nothing like Adam Warlock, but it is pretty sick. One of the better skins for Adam Warlock as well. He just looks like a completely different character. The second to last one, we do get this Scarlet Witch skin. I believe this might be the MVP. We'll see when we go over it again. But you do get the Witch of the Evil Eye Scarlet Witch, which is like a classic Scarlet Witch too. It's funny because they do have a lot of Scarlet Witch skins already in the game, but I know this skin a lot of people wanted, so that's not too bad. Very clean, and again a throwback to her OG costume. does come with the Petals of Promise emote, which is alright, nothing too crazy. And then of course the Embrace, Emerge, and Empower MVP. So slightly different to that intro there. Yet very similar. That is pretty cool. And then finally we get the Museum Security Gallery card. Again, just more lore. And once you guys have unlocked all that, you can, exchange your battle pass points for units, which is always nice because you always end up getting a surplus anyway, especially since the battle pass lasts 2 months. But that is everything within the season pass. We'll now move on to the ranked rewards. So for those of you that are interested, guys, here are the ranked rewards. So from Platinum you get the Nightly Procession nameplate frame, which is pretty clean, nothing too crazy there. From Diamond, it upgrades to the Royal Stroll. I love the colours of this, plus it's animated. I always love animated stuff and the colours are always nice. Grandmaster, you get the Crest of Honor. Again, nothing too crazy, but it's always nice having this to kind of show what season you were when you got the rank. It's actually not the same for Celestial, it's just a different colour. So it goes from silver to kind of blue or like diamond or whatever you want to call it. At Eternity it goes up to gold. One Above All, it stays the same with the rewards, and then top 500 you get the animated one, which is always the coolest. But I know you guys are most interested in the skin, which is what you get for reaching gold or above. You get the Sacrificial Born Gambit skin, which is pretty clean. I love the black and white, and of course the blue is not even that bad, it's a nice colour blue. So those are all the competitive rewards that you can get. Of course they did change competitive, so you have to play 10 placement matches, and then from there you can start climbing rank. So if you're fortunate, if you just want the costume, you can play your 10 games. All of a sudden you're in gold, right? And then you don't have to play anymore, you get the skin by the end of the season. So that's pretty neat. But speaking about Gambit, let's hop into practice so we can go over all of his moves, his skill set, and figure him out. Alright guys, so here we are in the practice range with the newest hero, Gambit. So for those of you that are unaware, Gambit is a strategist, which a lot of people did not think. They thought he was going to be a duelist. However, he's one of the most unique strategists, comes in at a 4-star difficulty, because you guys will see, I'm sure even reading this right now, you guys can see that he has some crazy abilities. So of course he has his left click, the kinetic cards. He has his team up for the season, or I guess just team up in general, with Magneto, which is really strong. You have his ult, which is the Raging Royal Flush, which seems to be pretty strong. Purifies. It says lock onto an ally, but I'm pretty sure it affects your whole team or people around that ally you lock onto. They get a movement speed boost, a jump boost. It heals them and it purifies them of any stun effects. Right, so if they're frozen or if they get Akamoto'd, boom, you pop that and it kinda again purifies them so they can move again. You have his Cage and Charge, which is a little dash, his Healing Heart, and his Breaking Spades, which is his 2 decks, which we'll go more over in a second, and then his Bayou Bash, which is just a nice little melee AoE. So if anyone dives him, he can use it to kind of escape with the Cage and Charge as well. Now Gambit is the first hero with 2 pages, so if I scroll here, you guys can see he has another set of abilities linked to his deck of cards. So that's why he's a 4-star. A lot of potential, a lot of different combos and whatnot. I do not think he'll be the last hero to get 2 ability pages, but he's just the start of what could be insane. So you guys can see we've scrolled over out of his 2 decks from the previous page, the Healing Heart and the Breaking Spades. it goes more in depth. So healing hearts, think about it as the healing deck, right? So you hit E, you trigger your healing hearts, and then you have bridge boost and purifying pickup. So bridge boost, you throw your cards at an ally and it bounces back and forth between your allies. Think about it like Adam Warlock's healing ability. So it bounces back about 2-3 times and heals everyone that it hits. They do also get a healing boost as well. And then purifying pickup. It's like a forward explosion and it heals nearby allies and it purifies them. So again, anyone that's been stunned, it'll purify them so they can move again. Very, very good at countering some ults and CC effects. And then next is Breaking Spades, which you can think about it as his damage deck. So you have Explosive Trick and Bidding Barrage. So Explosive Trick is he fires a full set of cards forward, exploding on impact, dealing damage, and inflicts reduced healing on the enemy. So you can basically end up finishing them off, which is insane. And then Bidding Barrage, you can use Raise Empowerment to do scatter cards in an arc in all directions, explosions, damage enemies, and launch them up. So kind of just more disruption, more damage. So very excited to give his abilities a shot here. And then I do want to try him in a game, maybe not in this video, but definitely just in general, because again, very complicated to learn, but he has such a very high ceiling. So we have his normal ability, which he throws 3 cards forward, still a lot of damage. He does have 21 cards in his, I guess, deck, but also has his ammo. Again, not too bad, deals a pretty decent amount of damage. Let's go ahead and switch his cooldowns to no ability cooldowns. So you have his right click, which is his Bayou Bash, which again is very nice for if an enemy comes close, dives you, you just use that. And it's a nice little bit of damage. This is normal melee, which is nothing too crazy, right? So maybe you can combo it into, like as I say, sometimes you go melee Bayou Bash, decent amount of damage. You have his left shift, which is, his escape. You can go up, you can go down, you can go left, not really left and right, it's mainly just wherever he's facing. So I'm going right, and then I hit it, it just goes forward, so you can't dash in any crazy ways. But I'm sure you guys have noticed, after you dash, you have the ability to hit your right click, which launches you into a spin, which is pretty nifty, right? That does use a charge of your Bayou Bash. Now, of course, onto his decks, we have his E, which is his healing, which does heal himself, I believe. It does have a cooldown, right? You guys can see the little bars next to the reticle. He does have a little cooldown. So if I pop E, yeah, I end up healing myself. Not a crazy amount. And of course it stems into Flush and Raise. So we hit E, we hit Flush. That's the one that bounces back and forth a pretty decent amount of times, about 4 or 5 from what I counted. Bounces between kind of just the closest people around. And then you have Raise, which is just the Purify one. Again, it heals them, but it also purifies any bad effects. And then F, again, very similar. I believe that gives you a damage boost as well. So you can kind of just hold it, use it as a damage boost if you want. You use it, you have your Raise, which is your explosion. That I believe that launches them up, right? Oh no, it doesn't. It inflicts reduced healing. So you go F into E, reduced healing, so they don't get healed nearly as much. And then F into F, that's what raises them up. Well, supposedly. Oh no, I got it the wrong way around. Explosive Trick is this one, whereas this one is supposed to raise them up. Oh. Yeah. And one thing as well is that if you use the wrong deck, let's say you want to use Breaking Spades but you use Healing Hearts, you have to use it you can't like back out of it. You can't have to wait for it to cool down if you want that to be the case. But those are all of his normal abilities. Very complex, but again, such a high ceiling that you can see him in a lot of comp play as well. And then finally his ult. You hit Q, you look, you hit confirm, and yeah, it kind of just goes to, well, it does go to just one ally, but the movement speed is pretty nuts. You get some damage speed too, and it heals them. And then of course the final explosion at the end. So that is all of Gambit's kit. Definitely seems like a very gnarly hero. Do get the hang of. Oh wow, and you can kind of just drop down and do that. That's pretty sick. I didn't even realize that. So you can go up and then drop down, I guess if you're looking down, right? Because there is only a split second reaction to use your big time impact twirl. That is pretty cool. But that will do it for this video, guys. That is all the new stuff that is within Marvel Rivals Season 5. Super excited to give it a shot. And yeah, really nothing much to say other than that. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one. You guys can let me know